In our example, the leader of the Association of Jeepney Drivers claims that the average daily take-home pay of all jeepney drivers in Bataan is 400. A random sample of 100 jeepney drivers in Bataan was interviewed, and the average daily take-home pay of these drivers is found to be 425. Use a 0.05 significance level to find out if the average daily take-home pay of all jeepney drivers in Bataan is different from 400. Assume that the population variance is 92 pesos. So in our example, we have to identify first the given. So based on the scenario, we have 400 pesos. So that is the population mean. And then a random sample of 150 drivers. So that is the number of sample, which is n. And then out of 100 jeepney drivers or out of 100 samples, lumabas na ang average daily take-home pay ng mga drivers na yun ay 425. So, since yung 100 jeepney drivers, they are just sample. So, yung 425, that is a sample mean. So, 425 pesos. And then aside from the population mean which is 400 and the number of sample natin which is 100, the sample mean is 425, it is also given the significance level or level of significance which is 0.05. And then assume that the population variance is 92 pesos. So we have variance. Uh, Okay. So, based doon sa correction pala, so yung 92 pesos, this is supposedly 8,464. Ngayon, 8,464. Okay. So, we have the mean, population mean, the number of sample mean, level of significance, and the variance. Now, to identify anong test hypothesis ang gagamitin natin, so we have to consider the number of sample. So one of the test statistic na pwede natin gamitin para ma-compute or ma-check yung population mean is pwede tayong gumamit ng z-test. So ito yung mga isa sa mga examples na pwede natin gamitin. Pero we can only use the z-test if the number of sample is greater than 30. So we can only use z-test if the number of sample is greater than or equal, sama natin yung equal kasi parang 30, greater than or equal to 30. Provided that the variance is known. So kailangan merong given na variance. So ano yung una natin gagawin? First, we have to identify the null hypothesis. So ito yung itetest natin. So what will be our null hypothesis? The population mean is equal to 400 pesos. Ito yung tinetest natin. Then what will be the alternative hypothesis? Kung sa null hypothesis, the population mean is equal to 400, of course, sa null hypothesis, as alternative hypothesis, population mean is not equal to 400. Okay? And then since there is already given level of significance, we can now proceed to solve the computed value using the test statistic na gagamitin natin, which is the z-test. So to identify the z-test, ang formula, so lagyan natin computed value. Okay, so the formula for the z-test is z is equal to sample mean minus population mean all over standard deviation over square root of n. Okay? So in our given, we have the value of the sample mean, the population mean, and the number of samples. We don't have yet the value of the standard deviation. So to get the value of standard deviation, we just have to get the square root of the given variance. So yun yung naging error dun sa roof. So yung variance natin na 8,464 ay diniretso na sa standard deviation, which is 92. So kung i-check natin, square root, so variance is 8464. So para muna yung square, lagyan natin ang square root. Cancel. So magiging standard deviation na siya. And then the square root of 8464 is 92. So we have now the value of the standard deviation. Now, since we have the value of the variables, we can now substitute them to the equation. So z is equal to, so ang mean natin is 425 minus 400 all over standard deviation is 92 over square root of 100. Next, so 425 minus 400, so that would be 25 over 92 over 10. So, since meron tayong fraction sa denominator, or pwede na natin siyang i-direct na i-solve kasi meron naman tayong calculator. So, 25 divided by 92 over 10. So 2.717 or 2.72. So this will be 2.70 is equal to 2.72. So yung z na to, this is what we call the computed value. Kasi hindi siya basta, ano nga yung computed value na to? Meron tayong rule na sinusunod. So, ito lang yung pinaka second step niya. First is we have to check or we have to construct the null and alternative hypothesis. Then, supposedly, second is we have to identify the level of significance. Pero dito, nilagay ko na agad yung second as the computed value. So, check the computed value. Next one is the critical value. So how can you get the critical value? If you are using t-test, z-test, and then the level of significance is 0.05, same lang din naman ang kakalabasan niyan if non-directional yung alternative hypothesis natin. Sabihin ng non-directional, we are using the not equal. So since non-directional siya, ayun din naman yung magiging part ng exam nyo. So you will stick on, and then the given level of significance is 0.05. So same lang rin ang kakalabasan niyan. So if the level of significance is 0.05, automatic, ang critical value nun is positive, negative 1.96. Ito yung part nung last discussion natin bago yung pinaka-last na ginamit natin yung normal distribution table. Ayun yung meron kayong z sub So, ayun yung part na hinanap natin yung z sub a over 2, where a is the level of significance. Pero yung part na yun, hindi ko na isinama sa exam. Ngayon, ang nakalagay lang doon is we have to use also 0.05 level of significance. So, yun nga, kung 0.05 level of significance, and that is non-directional. So, same lang naman ang magiging value, which is positive, negative 1.96. Okay? So, you don't have to compute it anymore. So, given na siya na positive, negative 1.96. So, we already have the computed value, and then we already have the critical value, which is positive, negative 1.96. So, sa part na yan, madali lang, pero i-explain ko na rin kung paano kayo mag-decision yan. Kasi ang pinaka-last part is the conclusion. Paano kayo mag-conclude given the computed value using the z-test and the critical value. So, ito po ang gagawin natin. So, una, sa illustration, if this is the normal curve, yung tinatawag natin na critical value, ito yung rejection period. Kung ang level of significance is 0.05 and then non-directional, ang critical value na is positive, negative 1.96. O ito yung mean natin, 1, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Ang 1.96 ay estimated mean na andito sa part na to. 0, 1, 1.96. Yung positive 1.96 ay nandito sa part na yan. Yung tinatawag natin na rejection period, eto yun. And then, sa part na to, eto yung rejection period. Ngayon, paano natin malalaman if we are going to reject or accept the null hypothesis? Ito kasi yung tinetest natin yun yung null hypothesis. So, paano natin malalaman kung kaya kalipay ko lang yan, so tama naman. So, halimbawa yung computed value natin, or based on the computed value, z is equal to 2.72. Nasaan? Sa normal curve natin, ang 2.72. Ito ay negative 1.96. Ito ay positive 1.96. Ang 2.72, ang estimated din na andito siya. So, ito yung 2.72. Saan siya sakop? Sa rejection period, o sa rejection region, or sa part na pwede natin i-accept? Nasa rejection region. Rejection region. It means we have to hypothesis. Kasi yung computed value natin against sa critical value, nag-fall sa rejection region. Kung ayaw nyo mag-graph, ang gawin nyo na lang, i-check nyo kung mas mataas ba ang computed value sa critical value. Regardless of sign to kasi pwedeng negative, tapos negative nyo. So regardless of sign, if the computed value, if the computed value is higher than the critical value, you have to reject the null hypothesis. So ito yun. So, computed value, 2.72. Critical value, positive, negative 1.96. Since 2.72 is higher than 1.96, we have to reject the null hypothesis. And what is our null hypothesis? The population mean is equal to 400. It means we don't have so reject the null hypothesis. So we can conclude that okay. So, ulitin natin from the start. So, meron tayong population mean na ang average daily take-home pay daw ng mga jeepney drivers ay 400 pesos. Ngayon, nag-survey ka, gumamit ka ng 100 jeepney drivers as sample para i-prove na hindi 400 ang daily take-home pay nila. So sa 100 jeepney drivers na yon, yung bataan, lumabas na 425 yung daily take-home pay nila. So this is only applicable to 0.05 significance level. And standard deviation natin na 92 pesos. So nilista namin yung mga given. We constructed the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. So sa null hypothesis, since ito yung claim na ang population mean is 400 pesos, the alternative hypothesis is against dun sa null hypothesis syempre, which is the population mean is not equal to 400. Kasi nga lumabas na 425. Ngayon, kinumpute natin yung using z-test kasi ang number of samples natin is more than 30. Kaya gumamit tayo ng z-test. And then based on the computed value, lumabas na z is equal to 2.72. And then since we use 0.05 significance level, ang critical value natin is positive negative 1.96. So, if the computed value is higher than the critical value, we have to reject the null hypothesis. Kaya sa conclusion natin, we rejected the null hypothesis. It means the average take-home pay of jeepney drivers in Bataan is not 400 pesos. So that is how to use z-test. Again, z-test is only applicable if the number of samples is greater than or equal to 30.